HBMFD. How about those marvelously fantastic dogs? How about those mighty fabulous dogs? How about those majestic furry dogs? How about those hmm what are two other words that start with an M and an F that would make sense here? Oh well, it'll come to me eventually.
It's time for the Mad Dog Show, coming to you live from the Park Group studio in the heart of the Bulldog Nation. The Mad Dog Show is proudly sponsored by
The Samford Company, Dogbone.net, Bulldog Illustrated, Classic City Collective, The Park Group Marketing and Media, Bib Distributing, Sellers Construction, Ventures Barbecue, Go Clean Co., Jay Lee, Attorney at Law, Pelicano Construction, Jags Pizzeria, Macon Monogramming, Ortho Georgia, Cherokee Brick, Progressive Communications, Butler Auto Group, ASP, Ward Mini Storage, Walthall Oil Company, Beach Services, Willingham Sash and Door, and Cranford Chiropractic.
Now, here he is, the Mad Dog.
All that matters is that we're undefeated and we're still number one. And now it's Tennessee week, and they easily have the fuggliest uniforms in all of college football. Nothing orange is intimidating. Nothing. Not pumpkins, not butternut squash, not apricots, not monarch butterflies, not carrots, not cantaloupes, and not clownfish. And your mascot is a volunteer. And this week, you're volunteering for a bulldog butt kicking, and your wish shall be granted by King Kirby. It's Hobnail Boot week, and that's why David Green is back. He was the one who was actually wearing the hobnail boots that the late, great Larry Munson made so famous. Green will be joined by his teammate, who is our own Dr. Ryan Snetzer, whose street name is, of course, Dr. Feelgood, our new regular contributor, Cassidy Pearson, from Any Given Saturday podcast. Well, she will continue to terrify me with facts that she has uncovered from the college football landscape. Look her up on YouTube, Any Given Saturday podcast. And it's Buffalo's birthday, for goodness sakes. He will be extra feisty and extra snarky. Dogger, you ask? Hell, yes is my answer. And the stat freak, well, he's still celebrating the clinching of the East and on special assignment out west. We're playing the Tennessee Orange Creamsicles, and here's what Larry Munson had to say about it once upon a time.
Playing what amounts to a 4-4 fake, and there's a touchdown! Touchdown, my God, a touchdown! We threw it to Haynes. We just stuffed it with 5 seconds left. My God almighty, did you see what he did? David Green just straightened up, and we snuck the fullback over. Haynes is keeping the ball. Haynes has come running all the way across to the bench. We just dumped it over. It's 26-24. We just stepped on their face with a hobnail boot and broke their nose. We just crushed their face. We dumped it over. David Green brought us flying down the field.
And we welcome back Dr. Feelgood. What is up? How are you, Dr. Snetzer?
I'm doing well, my friend. Another big win for the Dogs on Saturday.
You get real high marks. All your guys came back except JDJ. We got out relatively unscathed. Other than, tell us about Humphrey.
Yeah, Humphrey. They're kind of playing it quiet. It looked like it's some kind of shoulder injury. I've heard maybe collarbone, clavicle. It's really hard to say. But they kind of listed him as day to day. Said he's a little. He's a little dinged up right now. So that's about all the information he's letting out there. What that means is hard to tell, but it's just sounds like it's another one of these going to be day to day, and we'll see when we can get him back.
So let's just go worst case. Let's say he broke his collarbone. I mean, could he possibly be back for a natty?
So what is that? 6 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 6 weeks. 6 weeks would be right about on the head, depending on how bad it was and how fast he heals. That'd be right about that time. I mean, be close if it is broken. Is it 7? Maybe 7 weeks. I'd have to look exactly at the schedule, but you think 6 to 8 weeks to heal.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be close.
Yeah, so let's see. Saturday was what? The 10th?
The 10th, yes. I'm counting on my
30
calendar
days
here.
in November. So it's 20 days plus 31 is 51 days. So that's 7 weeks as of January 1.
And then he's got another week for a natty after that because the game's on the 8th, right?
Well, I mean, if he's got 7 weeks as of January 1, he could play in a semi.
In theory, yes. But that means, he won't be able hitting and doing any of that until about that time.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be able to run and do some conditioning as it starts to heal. We're saying this is all if it's a broken collarbone. We don't know that for sure at all. But
Have you heard anything about Dumas Johnson? Because it's like he's just fallen off the face of the earth. We went from looking for innovative ways to just nothing.
I think he said kind of the same thing. Said we're still working on it. Nothing new. Again, not knowing exactly where the fracture was, and it's hard to say when it's going to be back.
All right. So as a lineman, I'm sure that you keyed in on Amarius Mims. How'd he look to you?
He looked good. Got in that rotation. I think offensive line all together looked really good on Saturday. I mean, the whole offense looked good. I mean, they couldn't, they couldn't stop us. I mean, I think we didn't have a third down until about our third or fourth possession, right? I think we only had 2 or 3 third down. We converted those. We scored on all the drives in the first half. I mean, the offense just looked like they were in key. I think the week before against Missouri, I thought I watched Beck. I thought he was a little off on some of his timing, maybe. But man, he made some good throws on Saturday.
He really did. He makes him look effortless.
Golly. I mean, I was sitting in the stands, and I looked at the guy next to me. It's like I don't know how many people can make. I'm trying to remember that touchdown going towards the scoreboard where he kind of hit. He had a defender over the top and a defender underneath, and he hit that. I can't remember who it was to. But
McConkey.
McConkey, yeah. I mean, that was a great throw.
I saw. I don't know what show it was. Maybe it was Read and React, but where they said that throw that he made right there was impossible to defend.
No, I mean, I was sitting on the other side of the stadium.
Uh-huh.
And I looked at that guy next to me and said, that is an NFL throw. Like you don't
exactly. Yeah.
And like the fact that he was, and there were some other throws. I'm trying to remember. There was a couple other ones where I looked at him and like, man, this guy right here he's on point tonight. And if we can see him do like that and the offensive line block like that, we ran the ball well. I mean, that's as good as I've seen our offense play in a long time.
I mean, and watching that, watching the pass you're talking about, watching the replay from behind Beck, when you're watching it, you're like, I can't believe he's even going to attempt this pass.
Yeah, which is where I'm at with. I'm kind of in that end zone looking out that way. So I saw it from there. Like, whoa, he threw that, and then I was like, oh man, like
it was a laser.
It was a laser, man. It was right on the spot. I mean, great throw.
And speaking of how great our offensive line did, there's a particular position on the line called the tight end, and we had a guy come back.
Team came back out there, man. I'll tell you what, it was a good to see him, and I'll tell you what, that first move he made after that catch, he's back. I mean, he I don't think he had any. I think that's the hardest thing for him to be able to do that and know that he can do that. And I think let him get out there and make that play right there. I think the fact that he was able to make that play early in the game really kind of let him kind of open it up a little bit.
It looked like there was zero lingering effect. It looked like he hadn't even had an ingrown toenail or hangnail. It was the old Brock Bowers 100% back. It wasn't like a token start on a pitch count.
Yep.
Just going to start the game. I mean, he finished it.
Yep, he did. I mean, he played great. Looked good out there. I don't think I'm trying to remember exactly how many snaps he played, like 30% off the snaps. I can't remember the number they said.
Yeah, for some reason the number 46 is sticking in my head. I don't know if that was percent or that was snaps, but Kirby said it was the same as he normally does.
Yeah, so I thought he looked good out there.
Yeah.
He got down, lined up, did some blocking too, not just running routes. So putting that pressure on there for the blocking, you want to be able to see that. Yeah, he looked great out there.
Kendall Milton, who'd been so banged up, he finally looked healthy.
Golly, they did. I mean, all the running backs looked good, but he did look good.
He looked good, and then Paul was in there. He was looking, he was in mop up, and then we even saw Roderick Robinson out there. So I mean, it's like, okay, finally we have a full stable of backs.
We're about as healthy as we're going to be right now, too. I mean, we've got a few guys that had season-ending injuries. They're out offensively, but I mean, from an offensive standpoint, we had a lot of guys back. McConkey and Bowers were obviously the big two. I mean, I feel like they're finally hitting their stride. I think, I think a lot of the same offense, but having a new coordinator, there's still a little bit of let's feel each other out a little bit maybe. And so, we're game 10 and they looked, when they looked as good as they could be there.
Bobo's trying to break his own record for most points in a season. He's at like 40.6, which is like a half a yard off the record that he helped to coach. And it's just a beautiful thing to see. And
I mean, we kind of talked about this last week with Greeny. People, they want to find something. I mean, they feel like, they're nitpicking to try to find something to say, okay, we can do this better, find something to complain about. And so they like to get on the Bobo. But, man, if you look at the job he's done, I mean, he had to follow those guys that he's following, I mean, he has done a great job. And I'm the first person to say I'm the biggest Bobo supporter out there. So, he was obviously Greeny's quarterback coach when he was there. And so we got to spend as a center and off the line. We spent a lot of time together with him. Great coach and a good person.
Yeah, I've been a supporter the entire way through, and it's just great to see good things happen to good people. And I'm not shocked at all, just like you're not shocked.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I mean, what it really shows too is how good a coach he is, and how in the level. I mean, look. I mean, he struggled at Colorado State, but to be able to come back here and take the talent that we have, the great talent, and show that what he can do. I know people want to give him a hard time about not doing well at the other places, but you give him some talent, you give him some receivers and a quarterback. This guy can make things happen.
Hey, there's a guy right here who knows a little bit about him too. I think you recognize Mr. David Green. What's up,
fellas? What is the good word?
The good word is we got you indoors. You're not moving around. Got a great picture.
I got some Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
Wi-Fi. I mean, you must have practices rained out.
Well, we're over, man. Our varsity team got beat.
Oh,
no more practice. It's actually kind of nice to come home for a night or two every now and then.
Yeah, I bet. I remember those days. we were just singing the praises of Mike Bobo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, he deserves it. I tell you what, that the offense is clicking, man, on all cylinders, and can't give Carson Beck enough credit too for, man, he is just efficient. He takes what they give him right now. When it's covered, he sees an opening. He runs at the right time. You know how sometimes quarterbacks like, oh, I'm going to run, and oh man, that hole closed up and I shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. He checks down when he needs to. He's just playing really good football. Running game, man. How about Kendall Milton, fellas? I mean, he looks different.
Yep.
He looks different. The other kid I'm really excited about, y'all, is, and I don't even know his last name because I haven't, followed recruiting that much. But that number 3, that little tailback that came at the end of the game,
Andrew Paul,
whatever his name is, I like his running style.
Yeah,
that dude. He looks like he passed the eye test for me.
Yeah.
And I know it's cleanup duty and the whole deal, but he looked pretty sporty.
Well, he's the one who blew out his ACL beginning of last year. So he missed his whole freshman year and has just really been trying to, get confidence with that knee. And it looks like he's coming around at just the right time.
Well, he looked good to me. I mean, he's got some good body lean. He runs behind his pads well. And look, I get his fourth quarter of the Ole Miss game. I mean, it's a little bit of cleanup duty, but that's the first time I've really seen him ever run the ball. And he looked good. And offensive line, I mean, Snets, you can allude to this, but I mean, boy, there were some holes, and the offensive line has really gotten better throughout this year. I think I saw something where Carson Beck did not even get touched by a defender the entire game, not even on the run plays that he slid. No one laid a finger on him for the entire game. I don't even know if that's ever happened before.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We were that good for you, I can tell you that. So you took a few for us, but
hey, I never had surgery, Snets. I played 52 games in the SEC and never had surgery, and I'm not a physical specimen, as y'all can tell. So you did good enough.
Hey, you look like a physical specimen when you're getting recognized out on the field at Sanford on Saturday, man. That was cool.
That was fun. That was so much fun to be able to be down on the field environment like that. Get to see some former players too, and get to meet some guys. Like Stetson was right there. I've never met Stetson before, and And then all the other guys, Champ was out there. You name it. There was a long list. The Eagles were off, so a bunch of the guys with the Eagles were all down there, and it was just a fun day. It was just an electric feel in Sanford Stadium. It was fun.
Now, do you go in the locker room before the game, or?
No, I don't have that kind of access. I mean,
Okay.
I'm lucky to get down on the field.
Stop
I got
it. Stop
seriously.
it.
Hey, man, it's like, but no, they're good to us. So I had not been in a locker room for a game, but it was fun. I was able to watch the game down there on the field, and I had my son there, and my nephew, and my brother-in-law, and man, we had a blast.
So you're down there on the field with the team watching it.
I was watching it. Like, there were people getting tackled at our feet, man. There was one time I thought I was going to have to jump up. I didn't want to get my ACL rolled up on. I was going to have to go down there and see Schnetzer.
I was about to say, the jump might have been a tough turn for you there. I don't know. We'll see what you got still.
Yeah. You don't want to see Schnetzer. If you're seeing Schnetzer, you got big problems.
I got bigger problems. I'd be seeing Register up here in Athens.
There you go. Yeah, Brad.
All right, so we got to talk about it. Hobnail Boot, 'tis the season. Tell us about, first of all, just Neyland Stadium.
Oh, it's a great look. That is a tough place to play. Now, the one thing I think that is going to be necessary is we're going to have to jump on these boys early, because if they are in the game, that place is crazy loud. And look, they know. I mean, they know the East is clinched already. They would love nothing more than to just spoil it for us, right?
Yeah.
And, but tough environment. Your place can rock it. When they scored in 0-1 right there, right before we came back and scored, it's the only time in my career that I actually felt the ground shaking due to noise. The ground shook. I'm not kidding. It's the only time I ever felt that in my career. It was that loud.
So you get the ball back, was it with like 36 seconds?
I think it was more than that. I was thinking it was maybe in the mid-40s.
Okay. Tons of time. Mid-40s, tons of time.
I mean, just hours on the clock.
Right.
First play, we called Freedom Top, Mad Dog, okay? Freedom Top, Freedom's protection, 5-man protection, can only block 5. Top means tailback option. And all we're trying to do is run 4 verticals, make everybody, they were playing prevent, make everybody think we're going deep. And we had Damian Gary at tailback. And as David Pollock would say, you can't two-hand touch Damian Gary in an elevator. I mean, he's that quick. And sure enough, they're playing zone coverage. I dump it down to Damian, and he gets like 8 or 9 more yards after that. Well, we're already past midfield or at midfield at this point. I think we called – you remember smoke, Snets? We called smoke, which was a rollout with the smash concept. It wasn't there, burn it. And that's the one thing Coach Rick would always say is, number one, you can't take a sack in this deal. You can't take a sack. And then if it's not there, don't worry about it. Just burn it. I mean, you got 4 downs, smooth chains. And we called, I think it was 560 switch, and we hit Randy McMichael. And look, I didn't know if it was 1 safety, 2 safeties, and that makes a difference if he runs a post or stays vertical. Randy didn't really know either, but it's, we're like, screw it, man. We got to make a play here. And he did, buddy. I don't know. I still don't know how that ball got through there. And he called it. And we come back past 44 Tennessee, which was fullback in the flat. Randy on like a deep cross, and it was 1 safety, so he broke it on down, and we hit him there. And heck, guys, we're like on the 10-yard line at this point, right?
Okay, back up. How many timeouts have you burned during this time?
None.
You burned none. So are the plays being signaled into you? Are you calling them?
No, well, I look over and he's saying, hey, past 44 Tennessee. He's giving me the signals. Now, back then we did everything hand signals. So I would tell like Schnetzer in the line, hey, past 44, and I would give a signal to the receivers. And Tennessee was, I don't remember what the signal was at the time, but there would be a signal for Tennessee. And I was signaling out there, the tight end, fullback, tailback, receiver, everybody would see it and everybody knew what to do.
Okay.
And so that way we could operate with really out being able to hear for the most part. And I could tell the line and they would tell each other. And so, yeah, we got down to 10-yard line. I think it was after past 44 Tennessee's when we burned the timeout when we were on maybe the 10-yard line. I go over there to see Coach Rick, And he says, look, Green, look, they play quarters covers. They've been playing quarters all game down here in the red zone. If we call pass 44 Haynes, if it's two safeties, he'll be wide open. If it's one safety, just throw it out the back of the end zone. We'll run another play. And sure enough, it's like, I would tell you, it's like a golfer standing over a 3-foot putt. When you get up line of scrimmage, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's two safeties.
Yeah.
He's going to be wide open. And what a great play call. I mean, I was a freshman quarterback, my first away game ever. And for coach to be able to call a layup type play like that in that situation goes to show just how good of a coach he was.
Okay, I forgot that you're a true freshman.
Redshirt.
All right, you're what, 19 years old?
Yeah, right. Yeah, probably.
19. I first started an away game, over 100,000 people. You shut them up. Describe the feeling when well, you throw it, he's going to catch it. He's wide open. But when he's caught it and it's done, what happened? How did you feel? Did it go blank? Describe it to me.
No, I mean, honestly, at that point, there was still a little bit of time, maybe like 15 seconds or so. I was still kind of in that locked in moment, like, okay, what do we do next? Like, we gotta keep executing. And I think what we did, and I could be wrong, I think we went for two and just took a knee.
Right.
Maybe?
Right.
I don't remember. So maybe I did black out. I don't remember exactly what we did. But I mean, I still was I was in game mode still. I wasn't ready to celebrate a victory because I knew that there were still more things we had to execute and kind of think through.
At what point did you realize you had been a part of one of the most epic calls by Larry Munson of all time?
Well, I mean, I didn't know at the time. I mean,
right.
I was so young too. I mean, it was just like, yeah, man, that was a great football game. I had no, I didn't realize the magnitude of it certainly at the time. And
but what I'm saying is like, was it Saturday night when somebody goes, "Oh, you got to hear how Munson called this"? Was it Sunday? When do you even remember?
Yeah, I guess it was maybe mid next week, or maybe it may have been Sunday night when you started hearing people talk about the call and what Larry said, and certainly when you hear it, I mean, anybody's George fan, I mean, it gets you excited because you could just see just the authenticity and just how excited he was. You could tell it wasn't scripted. I mean, he was saying stuff that I didn't even know what a hobnail boot was. I mean, I've never
Nobody did. Nobody
never heard anybody mention it. Right.
Right.
So, yeah, it was really cool to be a part of something like that.
Do you own any hobnail boots?
I do not.
Maybe you should buy one. So when people ask you about them, like, yep, these are hobnail boots.
Yeah, somebody told me before what they're actually used for, and I don't even remember now.
I think they're just boots that are cobbled together with something that is known as a hobnail.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah. Well, I'll take your. We'll go with that for now.
Exactly.
Till we get some verification.
Exactly. Now, are you by chance going to Knoxville?
I don't think so. My wife's kind of got the itch to go though, so we may, if anybody's married, your wife starts saying, "Hey, let's
you gotta
go." Yeah. Chances are great if we're going, and maybe not. But she wants to take a crew up there because Knoxville. I mean, look, it's beautiful this time of year. Knoxville in the fall is awesome. I figure the tickets probably a little cheaper than normal, and I've got 6 of us, so you can imagine I got to find them on the cheap to make it.
Are you going to take police protection? I think you need police protection considering the crimes that you have committed in Neyland Stadium.
No, when I go up there, I just tell people my name's Daryl, and it's
Daryl Green.
Daryl.
That was your cousin David.
That was my cousin that played.
Now, Snitzer, you weren't a part of Hobnail, were you?
I was not.
You were what? Still in high school, or were you gone? I can't.
I was a redshirt freshman that year.
You're what?
I was a redshirt freshman that year.
Redshirt freshman.
I was redshirting that year.
You were redshirting. I got you. Were you there?
I was at the game. Yeah.
Okay. How was it from your perspective?
Well, so I was in the stands for that one.
Okay.
And I mean, that was So it felt like so long ago, but you never forget that play. I was down. Actually, so the Georgia fans were in that end zone that scored the touchdown. We were right on the corner there, and so to see that happen, I mean, they had gone down the field with they had a minute or something when they got the ball and they went down and scored. They hit a screen, hit a long screen pass down the sideline, and they had a big play. And they thought that place was rocking. They thought the game was over. I mean, I want to say it was like in the 47 seconds or something. I mean, we moved the ball fairly methodically right down the field, and I mean, obviously a short amount of time. And I mean, it was to hear how quiet that stadium was, other than where we were when that happened. Because that stadium had rocking the whole game.
It's a beautiful thing when you're playing on the road and you can hear a pin drop and then a little bitty roar.
Yeah,
you know something good's happened.
Yep. Yeah, you go up there and you're trying to not hear Rocky Top.
Yeah,
you want to keep that below 4 times a game.
Yeah, I mean, we had a good run. We beat them the next time we were there too. I mean, we had some good runs there, and that's when Sean Jones ran that one back at the end of the first half.
In the half,
and we ended up just blowing them out in the second half. It was fairly close first half. He picks it up, runs that back, and we think it's like a 21-7 lead at halftime. I think.
Yeah,
I think they were coming in to tie us. Maybe we were at 14-7, and he literally takes that out of the running back's hand on the 1 yard line and runs it back 99 yards.
So y'all were both a part of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was.
03.
I'll never forget my part in it, which was watching it on home and on TV. The shocked look on the Tennessee fans when they thought that they were about to tie that game, and then it was a 14-point swing to end that half.
And I want to say we got the ball that second half too, and scored on our first drive, and it was just. And then it was just we were off to the races, and they were never in it.
The only thing I remember about that game, Browning had caught. Or he had scored. He got the ball on the goal line and scored, and he got hit so hard in his kidney. I just remember going to pick him up, and all I could see was his teeth because they were he was hurting bad. And old TB
that might have been
got scored on that play. It was a heck of a play, and we went on, like you said, and made a pretty good run from there.
He came on the podcast earlier this year. I haven't met him in person, but met him that way. What a great guy.
Yes, awesome TB.
And he's still up in Athens, with the university. I thought that was cool too.
I've lost volume.
We can hear you.
You got us, Greeny?
Something on his end.
Yeah. He may have muted us. He's gonna change it off.
He's gonna go.
Let's see if he gets back on.
Yeah, complete reboot and come back, and there he is.
Yeah.
Called me and I couldn't hear for whatever
reason. There he is.
There you go.
More technical difficulties, but he's back.
There we is.
Well, I'm glad you're going to get a chance to go up there. I toyed around with it, but I don't think I'm going to do it.
Not going?
I don't think so.
You should go, man. Hey, Mad Dog, it's going to be – well, I hadn't checked the weather.
It's going to be 54 and sunny, I think, at game time. Is that what I saw in the 50s?
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, y'all.
I know.
Man, and it's such a good place to watch a game, too. I mean, it's as a place to travel and watch a game is fun. Of course, my favorite part is going there and just beating the crap out of them and hearing that place go quiet.
I've just been on the road so much that my couch just sounds so good for this.
It is pretty easy to watch games at home now. And the older you get, it's
you get the more kids you get, the easier it is.
The easier it is to stay at home.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about the Tech game being a night game?
Yeah, I kind of like it. I mean, I like it having a good field. Look, they played us tough last year. I really like Brent Key and I think he is the right coach for Tech, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of prefer them fumbling around over there, but this coach has done a really good job. Buster Faulkner, who's the offense coordinator, of course, he was at Georgia last year. Huge fan of him. I played against him in high school. He's a great guy, doing a really good job. I like it. I mean, I think Tech is. We should definitely win, but we have to come out and play some good ball.
Yeah.
In order to do so.
All right. As players, are you of the opinion that you would rather Tech be great every year and we're playing a team that's at that point 11-0? Are you of the camp that says, you know what, I don't care if they come into that game 4-7?
I personally prefer prefer 4-7 because we're getting ready for the SEC championship game the following week, and I prefer to be healthy. I prefer it to be an easy win because we got our sights on bigger things. Now, having said that, I always respected Tech as a player. I mean, they are a team that you better show up and be ready to go. And it's not a game that you ever overlook.
Well, you got to remember, we were on a pretty good losing streak to them before we got there.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, so I mean, we had struggled with them until we got there. I don't know if it was 4 or 5 years. I can't remember the number.
Yeah, that was the Joe Hamilton days, and George Godsey.
Yeah,
I'm kind of in the same camp as you, Greeny, because I mean, just look at next year. It's not like we're going to be struggling with strength of schedule when you kick off with Clemson and you're going to go to Alabama, you're going to go to Texas, and whoever else we got to play after that. I mean, you're at that point at the end of the year, you hope you're getting well for an SEC championship game, and how I don't see how a strong Tech helps anybody. Now, if they're strong, great. I don't care, but I'm not rooting for them to be good, I guess is where I'm coming from on that.
100%.
Yeah. And I do think that Brent Key is probably the right guy.
Yeah, I mean, they've played some hard games this year. Other than that, I think the Clemson game, Clemson beat them pretty good last week, but they've had some good games. Kept most games close. I mean, they beat how many ranked teams? They beat somebody who was ranked earlier. I'm talking about North Carolina.
Miami. They beat Miami on that crazy play.
They beat UNC.
Yeah, UNC. I mean, I remember watching that game the same day they played Florida when they beat UNC. And I think they were down in that UNC game. Were they not at halftime down or something and then came back? Or maybe they weren't. But I remember I watched the second half of that when we got back from the Florida game.
Yeah,
the head scratcher was Bowling Green. Do they have a chance to be bowl eligible?
I would think so.
They got to be close.
I'll put it this way. They were noticeably better last year when Key stepped in. Well, I don't remember what week he stepped in. Did they fire their coach mid-year last year?
They did. He stepped in. He was like the interim coach.
And he really, I mean, they played us tough. That first half last year, I'm like, boys, we got to wake up. Like, we got to get going here.
And he came right out in his opening press conference as the head coach when they announced him as a permanent head coach, saying, they've got to beat Georgia. I mean, that's what he said. He goes, we got to beat that other school in the state. Yeah. And so they've had this game circled. I'm sure they got something ready for us. What it is, we'll have to figure it out and get ready, and make changes. But I guarantee they've got a wrinkle ready for us when we come in there. Was it the 25th?
Tech is 5-5. And they play Syracuse this week at home at 8:00.
Okay.
So they're either going to be bowl eligible or trying to get bowl eligible. Not the kind of mentality that you want to be playing.
Or they're fighting for a better bowl. You get it up in a cold weather bowl game. We've done that, and that was not fun.
That was not fun.
We need them to beat Syracuse and just come in relaxed. Like, hey, it doesn't matter. This game doesn't matter. We're going bowling, baby.
This is their Super Bowl. Playing us is going to be their biggest year.
Yeah, they'll never be relaxed in this game.
They would love nothing more than to ruin our season.
Because they, a lot of these guys maybe either some of them didn't get recruited by Georgia, or they at least at times feel like, I would think they're maybe second fiddle to Georgia. And so this is their time to prove it. You know what I mean? Show that they can hang with them, and is you get one chance a year, and so they'll come out guns a-blazing. There's no doubt about it.
Well, while we're looking ahead, let's look a little farther and let's talk about the SEC championship game with our foe to the west, Alabama, who's looking better and better. Oh, Milrose looking like a quarterback we've never seen before with his running capabilities, almost like a running back playing quarterback. What are your thoughts on defending him?
Well, I haven't really watched him play a ton. I know he's gotten a lot better as the season's gone on. I will say, at least from what I've seen from him, I'm kind of glad we're playing him instead of, is it PJ Daniels from LSU? That kid is really playing with a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Look, any Nick Saban team, I get nervous regardless of what the talent is, just because I think he's the greatest college head coach since I've been alive. I mean, he's unbelievable what he's been able to do. How this team has gotten better week in and week out. I mean, nobody really gave him a chance at all at the beginning of this year. They even said it's probably his least talented team he's had. but they're playing some really good ball, and they're pretty dangerous right now. So, I mean, certainly we're going to have to, put a spy on them and try to figure out a way to either bracket them or have somebody that we feel like can spy on him. But yeah, Kirby's got his hands full. It's always tough when you play a dual threat quarterback. It just makes things so much more challenging. We saw it with Stetson last year, right? I mean, when you got a running quarterback like that, the playbook's twice as thick.
Yeah, I mean, I think the rumors of Alabama's demise have been greatly exaggerated. People were talking about how they weren't good at the beginning of the year, but the reality is that Texas game, if Milroe doesn't throw those 2 picks, Alabama wins that game. They're undefeated, and who knows? They may be ranked number 1 right now. They're definitely be in the top 4,
No,
and I don't know why they're getting to me overly punished for that one loss against a really good team.
I think some of that is coming from. They did not look good against that Texas team. I mean,
Yeah,
Texas beat them. Milroe really struggled. I
yeah.
mean, he threw the interceptions, but there's a lot of balls he threw away. I mean, he really looked like a first-year starting quarterback, right? And then to see his progression, you watch that LSU game when he played. I mean, he looked like a completely different person out there playing.
Yeah.
That Texas game, he looked like he was scared to throw it, scared. He didn't have any confidence in his reads. He was worried about getting hit. And then watch it where he's developed. I mean, they have developed him.
Yeah.
Well, they developed him fast. All right.
Well, it goes to show, how good of a coach Saban is. You get a kid that looks like he's got no confidence, and they're able to either dummy down the playbook or call the plays he's comfortable, or at least put him in situations where he can be at his best. And that's what great coaches do. You take the talent around with this kid, and your job as a coach is how do I take this kid and his strengths and bring it out the most? And they've been able to do that here lately. So the only good news for us is at least we've got plenty of film that we can study, that we can see, hey, this is, how this kid plays his best ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they found some plays to get him some confidence and let him get into the system, and then from there they've been able to branch out. But I mean, yeah, that LSU game, he looked real good. I mean,
all right, I'm going to give you guys time to think about this. Who do you think the top 4 best teams are in the country? I'll go first. Georgia, Alabama. Even though they lost to Washington, I'm going with Oregon. And then from there, it gets tough. From there, it gets real tough because I don't believe in FSU because they're playing a watered-down ACC schedule and Clemson's down. I don't believe in Washington because of how much they've struggled. Texas has even struggled, recently. I don't want to pick Michigan because they're cheaters. I don't believe in Ohio State because they've played nobody other than Penn State, and Penn State's played nobody. So at that point,
you just want nobody out there.
I just pull one out of a bag. And also, I'll just say Texas. I'll say Texas wins the Big 12, and that's my 4th team.
Okay.
What do you got?
I'll go Georgia. I'm going to go with Michigan. I just feel like they've played some really good ball this year.
But they haven't played anybody.
Yeah, but they execute.
They look good at what they've done, though.
It's easy to look good at what you're doing when you know what the plays are going to be called against the team you're playing.
It makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
I like Texas. I like Oregon. I'm a huge Dan Lanning fan. I think. I mean, look how different they played after we beat the snot out of them last year. I mean, they won
2 games. They've only lost like 2 games since then.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really got that program going. I wouldn't sleep on them. Bo Nix has done a fantastic job. I don't know. I mean, so I'll say Georgia, Michigan, Texas, Oregon. I'll go with that.
I think I'll start with Georgia. I would put. I like that Washington team, man. I know they've struggled, but they still beat Oregon. I mean, they still beat them. And Oregon, Lanning will take that one on the chin. Some of those 4th down calls, but I'm going to still take them in the head-to-head right now. I think if they played again, Oregon could probably beat them, but I'm going to just take them for what they've done. So I'm going to put Washington. I do like Michigan, and I'd have Alabama in there. I think. I don't believe in Florida State. I believe that ACC schedule is pretty soft right now. they beat LSU early in the year. I think Jaden Daniels kind of struggled in that game. And what did he do? 2 interceptions in that first – I remember the first half. I remember the first half it looked like LSU should have beat them pretty bad. And the game was close. And then, Florida State came out in the second half and got them pretty good.
Yep.
But the first half of that game, LSU looked like they should have been well up and threw some interceptions or turned the ball over in the red zone, if I remember correctly. Didn't they turn it over twice inside the 20?
I think you're right.
So, that was a game that could have been out of hand at halftime. And I think Florida State, made some changes at halftime, came back out. But I'm still not that I'm trying to knock them down. I think they're still probably 5 or 6. But I don't see them in my top 4. I think if I had to put them in order, I'd probably say Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, Washington.
Okay. Last question. Who will be Texas A&M's next coach? I can tell you it's not going to be. It's not going to be Dan Lanning.
He came right out and said, "I'm not leaving." And
it's not going to be Dion.
No.
And it's not going to be Zach Arnett from Mississippi State.
Well, look, man, they got to make a splash, right? They've got to have somebody with head coaching experience who's won. And so, who is out there on the market that sits like that? Who is out there? May not be on the market, but who's sitting out there that is maybe not coaching right now? I mean, I'm just throwing this out there. I haven't heard anything. I think you got to look at Bob Stoops,
right?
I think you look at Urban Meyer.
I
think those guys are on top of their list. I think
don't do it.
They have to make a splash. They have to come back in. They're paying $76 million to this guy to go.
You know who I go at.
You have to pull in somebody who has a national championship.
Well, here's what I said they do. They got to fork out $76 million, right? So they're
going to get us.
Maybe I don't know if their plan is to keep throwing out money, crazy money. But if the answer is no, I think they go after Missouri's head coach.
I've heard, yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I'm telling you, I sat up there in the stands.
That is a great game against us.
Football program.
Yep.
And if you can recruit and build a program like he's built at Missouri, you know what you could do with the resources at A&M?
Mm-hmm.
Sky's the limit. And you could get him on the cheap compared to what you can get some of these other guys for.
Yeah.
And when I say on the cheap, was that $7 million?
Probably 6, 7 million minimum, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, Texas A&M, they want to make a splash. I don't know. I'm just, this is nothing just from me watching them and not knowing anything about them. But
do you think they'd ever come after somebody like Glenn Schumann?
I think they need somebody with head coach experience. Yes, but I'm not saying he wouldn't be a good coach, but I
don't think so.
I think you look with somebody who's had experience as a head coach.
I hope so. I don't want Schumann to go anywhere.
Mm-mm.
I think if he ever went anywhere, it would be back home to Alabama, which is where he went to school and where he got to start. And, the kind of guy who's almost like Kirby did with Georgia. Wait for your dream job to open up and then go there. Because, he's got to be having fun with what he's doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
You look like you're thinking, Greeny.
Well, I was just thinking, I'll quit for $76 million.
It would just that's just,
what in the world? How have they gotten this? And what's the incentive to do well at that point? We're going, hey, I can either coach and things go well and I can just prolong this, or I can go, fishing for the rest of my life and get paid $7 million a year. It's come on. I can't believe that they're able to get people. They're able to sign contracts like that.
Well, and there's not even an offset clause in Jimbo's contract.
No mitigation clause for his. Yeah, he gets that money regardless of what he does.
Yeah, so he could go get another job for $75 million, and they still got to pay him.
Yeah, he's crazy to do that.
Lincoln Riley. What about Lincoln Riley?
Oh man, I don't think he's leaving USC. He's in a good spot there right now for him. And they're coming to the Big Ten next year.
If he can't get a defense, they might have to figure something out.
Yeah, he wouldn't have to get on an airplane as much if he came to the SEC, because next year he's going to be living on one.
I feel like he already ran from us once. I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
So he knew he saw what was coming. He's like, I'm not getting into that.
But when you start thinking about the splashy type hire they want to make, it's hard to come up with anything
There's not a lot of names
outside the box with an Urban Meyer or somebody like that. Who's
I want those out there. I think it's the. I don't know if that's. I wouldn't say it's the best choice for them, but I feel like they've got to. They have to make a splash after doing something like that, or like Greeny said, they may come out and say, "Look, we got to keep some money, man." But they've obviously got it. They've obviously got the money to say, "Look, we're going to fire this guy middle of the end of the year, knowing that we owe this guy $76 million, and we got to pay him what, 21 in 30 days, right? And what 30 days we have $21 million.
If you're looking for value, the coach at Missouri,
100%. I mean, that game against Georgia. I mean, they have looked. That's a good program right now. So.
And that's a hire that doesn't hurt you if you're a Georgia fan. I mean, you're playing Drinkwitz anyway. Yep. All you've really done is created a hole back at Missouri. It'd be, he's built a great program there, but it's also probably be hard for somebody to just jump in there and keep it going.
Yeah. The only way it hurts is if he turns that program, if he, takes the talent that they get at A&M and is able to coach them as well as he coached those guys he got in Missouri. That's going to be a good team.
And maybe we can pick off some guys from Texas A&M from that #1 recruiting class they had 2 years ago.
Well, they've had a few of them already leave, right?
I don't know. You know more than me.
3 or 4 going to the portal last year. I'm pretty sure that came out of there.
Well, when your coach gets fired, you have some special portal situation where it immediately opens up for 30 days? I thought I read that.
Oh, they made that? Yeah, I don't know.
It's crazy.
It's all free agency now anyway, man.
The portal magically opens when your coach gets fired for a 30-day window.
Could y'all imagine being a coach? Like, you don't have to go out and just recruit new players. You got to recruit a team every year.
Yeah.
I feel like the system's got to be changed a little bit. I understand allowing players to leave. If the coach that recruited you or something like that, there's a drastic change, but I mean, there's got to be some kind of commitment to the school too, right? I mean,
okay. So I love that question. I love that scenario. Tell me, Ryan Snetzer's running the NCAA. What do you do rule-wise with the portal and with NIL? Go.
Oh, and the whole NIL thing, I think the cat's out of the bag on that one.
Right.
I'm all against not having regulations, but I feel like there's got to be something to calm that down. And it may self-regulate. Maybe people may just, as we're going on, say, hey, look, man, we've been forking out all this money, but we're really not getting a whole lot out of that. So it may my theory is it's probably going to come down a little bit from where it started. I think when it first started, everybody was real hot and heavy on it, and it's going to come down. Regarding the transfer portal, I mean, barring, a special situation, I feel like, it should be allowed for, like, if your coach leaves or gets fired, or your position coach, maybe somebody that recruited you, but it shouldn't just be like, you know what, I'm not playing here, I'm going to go somewhere else. I think like you come in, you made the commitment to the school, barring a special circumstance, I don't like the transfer portal.
Yeah, I agree as well. On the portal, I hate the fact that people can have a bad day and just go jump in the portal kind of thing. You know what I mean? I mean, there's plenty of bad days you have out there where you're not feeling it and your feelings are hurt. You don't like the way the coach is handling the situation. It's too easy to leave. And these coaches have to invest so much time into you anyway that they're making it way too easy for guys to leave and jump ship. I think they're going to have to tighten that up.
Oh,
yep. Yeah.
I would just like to know, what is the process? Like, Ryan has a bad day. He gets yelled at too much by one too many times by his O-line coach. I mean, he's deciding I'm leaving. Is it just as simple as you sign this form and you're gone? I mean, I don't even know what the process is.
But I think it's pretty simple. I mean, I don't think it's hard. I mean, there's certainly a period, like you can't, once you go into the portal, that's when other coaches can talk to you, right?
Right.
And there are some timelines on there. Like, you can do it at this time and it stops here at this time, but it's not much.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like between the portal and NIL money, it's just the Wild West, and everything's just kind of.
I do think the NIL is going to kind of self-regulate a little bit.
No, I think you're right. I think you made a great point about people are going to realize they're not getting the bang for their buck that they thought they were going to get, and it's going to kind of self-regulate.
Yeah, I mean, so to me, I think it's going to turn into a fairly, hopefully. I mean, you're still going to have your top programs are still going to have more money, and those players are still going to get more money. So I still think you're going to have a bigger difference between your top tier and your middle tier. I think you're going to see a little more separation in the recruits you're getting there. But I do think some of these, some of these things are going to go down a little bit. Kind of.
One of the things I really like about the NIL is that if these guys are getting paid some money, especially somebody, say like a Brock Bowers, somebody offers him, $1 million, some free deer hunting, for the rest of the season, maybe he'll stay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, before everybody's just.
You got to get your money. You got to go. Yep.
I mean, you talk about Deion's son, the quarterback. I mean, he's making
more now than he will in the NFL.
Like $6 million in NIL deals. Well, like, why? I mean, I would much rather get hit by somebody from Colorado State than by someone from the San Francisco 49ers, right? I mean, like,
and he's probably making more money now than he'll make in the NFL. You know, they got everything scheduled, so you know what you're going to get. And he's probably not a first round pick. So I mean, there's a schedule of where that goes wherever he's drafted, and he's kind of set into that schedule based on where it was that year. So he's probably making more money now than he will there.
Well, and that's a great point that Bert Hodges brought up. He said, we just need to figure out what is the max contract that Brock Bowers could sign for what would be his senior year or his rookie year. And then if that's $10 million, just get Dog fans to go fund me that thing up to $10 million. And he even made the example. He goes, if there's 100,000 people in Sanford Stadium, everybody coughs up whatever that is, $100 for another year of Brock Bowers. That's not a sell.
Yeah. No, it would be raised in a day.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So maybe we ought to start that in the collective. You want to start the Brock Bowers collective.
We're going to need to do some back channeling to get to Brock's people, find out what the number is, and we'll invent a product for him.
Wait a minute, 10 minutes. It's probably around that. What was the first? What's a top 10 pick now? What does it start? What was last year? Anybody know?
I don't have those numbers, but I mean they're easily accessible.
The first two picks are usually. I mean, you're looking at a quarterback, maybe a defensive lineman, somebody like that. So I think he's probably like a 4 or 5 pick, maybe.
Oh, easily.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
mean, it all depends on the draft or whatever people are trading around. But I think the first pick is almost. I think for the next, as far as we can see, is probably going to be a quarterback, unless you're just not a strong quarterback class.
He didn't come out for senior day when all those guys were running across the field. Brock didn't come out, although that doesn't seem like that's his style anyway.
Yeah. No. And we'd all love to see him back, and I think in the end he's going to make the best decision for him, and I think we can, he's given us some good years. So
for him is to say, hey, everybody pony up $100.
Exactly. That is 100% the best decision for him.
Yes.
We need to start that today. Start a collective for that.
Keep running over the Vandy players and not running into the San Francisco 49er linebacker.
That's right.
Yeah. Running to the bushes out there. Try to block one of those defensive ends out there in the NFL versus blocking that Vanderbilt defensive end.
That's right.
Greeny, you're a risk management guy. We just need you to get with your actuaries, put together a presentation, and line this up, and close the deal. That's all we're asking. We'll raise the money.
Your tightrope surgery would have been a broken leg. Okay.
Right.
24 days versus 2-3 months.
Yeah.
Come back for the.
What was this? I mean, I saw something this week that agents were telling him not to play another down this year, right? I don't know how true that was or not, but I was reading about that, and then he pretty much said, "Look, I'm playing, and anybody that told me not to play will not be representing me."
Well, Kirby said that. Kirby said that these agents were reaching out to him saying that, and that it pissed him off, and he was like, "Okay, well, I will definitely not work with those guys."
Bump this, I'm playing, man. And you know what? That's somebody who's that's the kind of team these guys are, man. I mean, they play for each other.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys play hard. It's fun watching them out there playing. It really is fun watching them play. They love the game. They love each other, and they are getting after it and going full speed every play, man. It's a fun team to watch. Like I said, Saturday night they look like a special team again, and they are. I'm not saying we're going to win the national championship again, but I think we dang sure got a chance.
Yeah, they're straight business. There's no doubt about it. I mean, these boys, you could tell they practice hard. You can tell they're prepared.
Oh, lost him again. Back on here.
It's like a tradition.
I got another phone call.
Maybe that's just how he leaves the room.
Maybe we ought to send him a laptop. He didn't get a phone call to interrupt. There he is again.
There he is. He's back.
Hey,
my wife won't quit calling me when she calls. It blacks out.
Hey, Greeny, I want to hear your perspective. Mad Dog and I talked about it earlier, but that the pass that Beck had going towards the scoreboard, where he had the defender over the top and the linebacker underneath. I mean, I looked at him. I was sitting in the stands and said, "Look, that's one of the best throws I've ever seen." You remember maybe like our second touchdown, the first touchdown?
At Ole Miss?
Ole Miss game. What did you think about that? Do you remember that play? I don't know if you saw it, but I mean, you talking
about the post? Well, you talking about the post he threw to
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was. Look, I mean, if you give him time to throw, I mean, he's got the arm, he's got the time, he's extremely accurate. I mean, I've been blown away with how, and I think I maybe said it last week. He makes the position look easy, y'all, and it's not. Okay, like he sees a guy, he throws a good catchable ball, even though it's got good pace.
Mhm.
Like it's catchable. Like it doesn't look like it's a, I mean, it's coming with good pace, but it doesn't like it's coming so hard it's hard to catch.
Yeah.
But yeah, he threaded that one through there.
I'm sitting in that other end zone, second level, and from where I sat and saw that pass, I was like, "There's no way he's throwing that ball." And he put in there, and I looked at the guy, I was like, "Man, that is literally that is an NFL throw."
Oh yeah, I mean I mean he's playing NFL caliber type quarterback right now. I mean he's seeing the field. If it's not open downfield, he's either running or he's checking it down. Like very few negative plays in our offense. I mean we're
put us in good positions.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Speaking of the NFL, let's just say that he does run the table and we do win another natty. If you're him, do you come back or do you just go ahead and go pro?
I'm trying to who else out there coming out of the quarterback class, and I guess it really.
We got Vandegrift, and then we've got Gunnar Stockton, and then
I'm talking about who if he goes pro. It's like okay, I think he's got to look at where he'd be drafted, right?
Right.
Is he going to be the number one? I mean, I'm trying to think of other. So Bo Nix is out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if he's the number one pick, I think, and you're the pretty good shot. There's that, then maybe. Because the last thing you want to do is go out early and then fall down the board. Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's going to have probably Caleb Williams out there, probably Bo Nix, probably Jaden Daniels. That's off the top of my head.
Yeah, so I find it. He's good. Is he better than those guys? Can he jump those guys? It's tough to say. I think another year could certainly bring his value up.
I think another year. I mean, I think he'll have a big NIL offseason. If he wins the national championship, he'll have plenty of coin in his pocket. And one good thing about playing quarterback at Georgia, you're going to have a great supporting cast. So you're going to have you'll lose some guys, but you'll certainly have plenty that'll be able to step in and play. And look, quarterback's one of those things like, especially if you're going to be a first round pick. I mean, you're expected to come in now and play. It used to be when I was coming out, guys even first rounds did come and sit for a year or two and just kind of like learn the NFL. That's not the case anymore. I mean, guys are coming in ready to play immediately and make impact. So I mean, he hadn't played a ton of ball. I mean, he's doing fantastic, but I think the more reps he can get, if he can get another season under his belt, it will help him that much more when he makes that jump.
Yeah, and like I said, unless there's a thought that he's going to be the number one guy taken, I think he comes back.
Yeah, I was thinking I had talked myself into he was leaving, and now you guys have talked me into he's staying.
Yeah, I think he comes back. I think it's a good decision.
And I hope he does.
I think now with the NIL, without the NIL, I think it's a little different story. But I think with that and the money that he's going to be able to get from that, I think he stays, gets another year under his belt, gets some more reps. Like I said, the more reps you get, the better you're going to be in that position. The more times you see the defense, more times you see what they're doing to you. I can only improve his stock for the next year, and he's going to have talent around.
Well, it's a case of where NIL actually works in the favor of the team by keeping some, great talent in school.
Yep.
Well, guys, I kept saying it's the last question, so I got to stop sometime because I got folks stacked over here to the left that are waiting. But man, I've had fun talking with you three. We should do this every week.
I'm with you every week. It's like Greeny. You got a little busier schedule, maybe.
That's good, man. I always enjoy coming on with you guys. Fun times.
Well, absolutely. Well, I hope you get to go up there and relive your magical moments with your family, and can't wait to talk again soon.
Yeah, when I cross Tennessee line, remember I become Daryl, so I'll change my name when I get there.
All right.
I want you to go in there with like a
mustache.
fake mustache.
Yeah.
Sunglasses and a stash.
I need to see a mustache and a hat with a mullet on it. All right, that's what I need to see.
Yeah,
I love it. All right,
and orange checked overalls. Orange checked overalls. You'll be fine.
Yeah. I love it. All right, man.
All right, guys.
Y'all be good.
See you soon, and go Dogs.
See you, man. Go Dogs.
See you guys.
From any given Saturday, it is Cassidy Pearson. What's up?
What's up? How about them Dogs?
How about them Dogs? SEC East champs, which doesn't get anybody excited anymore. It's unless it's a national championship, that's where our expectations are. Anything but a natty is just not enough.
Yep, definitely.
Which I love the fact that that's where this program is. I mean, in the past, we would be ecstatic to be champions of the East, and we would be terrified to play Alabama. And that's just not the way the world is anymore, not in the Dog Nation. I mean, everybody, that I talk to wants to go and slay the elephant. So to speak.
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, we finally got over that hump, and so the nightmares from 2012 and 2017 are now over in my brain. So I'm really excited to get to play them in Atlanta.
Will you be there?
No.
Is that the theme for this year? Is Cassidy refuses to attend and good things happen?
Well, it's been working out. I haven't been there, and the dogs are rolling, so I'm going to keep that up.
So where are you going to be this time, if you can tell us?
I am throwing a baby shower for my best friend, Susanna. So that was the day we had to do it, and we're doing it in the morning, so I'll have plenty of time to watch the games.
I feel like you could do both. I feel like there's plenty of time. Is the baby shower in Macon?
Mm-hmm. There probably would be time, honestly. Haven't really thought about that.
Well, maybe you should. Maybe you should think about that a little bit more and just make it a big day.
It would be a big day.
Just zip on up to the bins and, it could be magical. No pressure. All right, let's talk about business. What do you got? What do you want to talk about? I know you're going to say something to scare me.
Well, I want to talk about these rankings.
Let's go.
Georgia deserves to be at 1.
Agree.
Part of me wishes we were still at 2, just to continue that drive of, they say we can't do it. Let's go do it and prove them wrong. But we deserve to be at 1, and so rightfully so we are. I was thinking about it, and I'm actually surprised that Florida State is still at 4 and Washington didn't jump them. If you look at their resumes, Washington now has a much better resume than Florida State does, and they were struggling against Miami last week.
You could absolutely make that case that Washington should be 4 instead of FSU, and I'm with you. That's kind of one of those things where, okay, the ACC, people want to talk about the SEC being in a down year. No, we're just cannibalize each other like we do every year. The ACC, which is already not a great football conference, is down because Clemson is having a very bad year by Clemson standards. So I go back and I look at the FSU schedule, and okay, you started out by beating LSU, and that win has lost its shine as the year has gone by, and they've turned into a 3-loss team. So, yeah, I don't get it, and I want you to tell me where the quality wins are on Ohio State's schedule.
That's what I was just about to say. You mentioned Clemson. Well, Clemson just beat Notre Dame, who was the whole reason probably why Ohio State was 1. In the same way, Penn State just lost to Michigan. So what quality wins does Penn State have? They have none. Notre Dame has a couple, but the wins they've had have been washed out at this point because everyone's been losing that they beat. So Ohio State's resume is extremely weak. And so is Michigan's. And then Georgia, on the other hand, it's only gotten stronger, especially after Missouri killed Tennessee. You could even make the case that, teams like Auburn have been playing well this year. So it's just been a total flip. Penn
State is what is artificially pumping up the strength of wins, I guess you could say. They're not really strength, but what little argument they have for Michigan and Ohio State. Penn State's played nobody. Why are they even ranked? They've lost to a couple of teams who have played nobodies. What is their resume? They don't have one. They should not be ranked that high.
Why are they ranked so high?
It's a brand bias. It's a total textbook example of a brand bias.
It is, and it's the fact that they have played Ohio State and Michigan. Even though they lost both of the games, they take those as quality losses.
Yes.
And which makes no sense in my brain besides just the name of Ohio State and Michigan. They have done nothing this year to prove that they can compete in big games.
It literally feels like the Big Ten runs this scheme, the sham, where they play nobody between the three of them, and they both beat Penn State. So that that's their, that's a quality win for them because God knows they need some because they don't play anybody. And so for them, for both Ohio State and Michigan, it's a 1-game season. And I mean,
Always
I know,
is.
and Ohio State tries to make the case, well, we played Notre Dame. Well, Notre Dame's not that great this year. And Notre Dame really should have beaten them if their coach knew how to manage a clock.
Exactly. That's a great point. The Notre Dame game and the Penn State game were close. Like, it's not like they're beating them by these large margins that Georgia is. So it absolutely makes no sense. And I'd actually make the case that Michigan should be ranked at 2, or I wouldn't put them at 2, but in front of Ohio State, because actually, if you look at their common opponents in those games, Michigan's won by larger margins than Ohio State has.
But they were cheating in those games. They
No, I
were
agree.
cheating in those games. So there's that little fact.
Yes, but the committee is not worried about the cheating right
Oh,
now.
of course. The great committee, the all-knowing committee, God forbid that they inject some current events into their rankings and some things that are actually not even allegations, they're facts, because anybody who has eyes who can see the film of them cheating. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Okay, let's go into Cassidy's. Unless you got something else, I want to talk about your doomsday scenarios.
I do want to say real quick that I don't think Tennessee should be ranked. I think they're ranked like, I don't even know, like 18th, 17th, something that's way too high, in my
I think
opinion.
they're 21.
Okay, well, Tennessee was ranked ahead of Missouri going into last week. And I didn't even think that was fair. I thought Missouri had a stronger resume than Tennessee did, even. Tennessee hasn't beaten anyone. They have quality losses with Alabama and now Missouri. Neither one of those games were that close. And they haven't beaten anyone, whereas Missouri at least has beaten, I don't know, Kansas State, killed Kentucky. So I'm tired of Tennessee being ranked. Maybe they're keeping them there because they're about to play Georgia. I don't know. They're like one of the top 3 lost teams right now on the rankings.
Yeah, they got embarrassed by Florida.
Yeah, and then Missouri.
Yeah, I mean Missouri. I get that Missouri's a great team. Everybody's believing in them based on the eye test. They look like a great team. They played us great.
Yep.
But the Florida loss by Tennessee was a terrible look.
Yeah, so bad, and they shouldn't have beaten Texas A&M either. So they just have had an awful season, and to see them ranked ahead of several other teams with 3 losses, and even North Carolina is ranked lower, and they only have 2 losses. I know it doesn't matter at all,
Right?
But I still have a problem with it.
Well, that's fine. That'll just be another top 25 win for us.
That's right.
All right. So, doomsday. We went out, but we do not win the SEC championship. I maintain that if the committee thinks that Georgia is the number 1 team, they think that you're the best team, losing to the SEC champion does not make you all of a sudden not one of the 4 best teams. I don't care that FSU is undefeated and won the ACC in this scenario. And I don't care that, say, Michigan and Ohio State have won. That's fine. Put Michigan and Ohio State in there. Put Oregon in there or Washington, one of those 2. But you can't, and you can. You're going to have to put Alabama in there, but you can't tell me that all of a sudden we're not one of the top 4 teams.
No, you can't. Especially if the Alabama game is close and we lose.
Well, 2021 proved that point.
Mm-hmm.
We were number 1. We lost. We went to 4, and then we won the whole thing.
You're right. And fortunately, the problem is there's just a lot of undefeated teams left, a lot of one-loss teams. All 5 Power 5 conferences are still very much in this, looking ahead to the playoff race. And the committee could really be entering a nightmare situation if everyone wins out, like I'm assuming that they're going to.
And I don't trust the committee in any situation, much less a nightmare situation, because I don't feel like that Ward Manuel, the AD for Michigan, is going to have our back, because that's who populates this committee. You know, if he had a shred of decency and character and class, he would say, you know what, we're cheaters. We don't deserve to be in this thing.
Yeah.
We are cheaters. We have been caught cheating. We got caught cheating during the COVID year. We got caught lying about the cheating. We've had a computer scandal. We've had Bo Schembechler post questionable things on social media. We had to get rid of him, his grandson or his son or whatever. And now this, all in one season.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what they would do to Georgia if that was us?
Oh.
I mean,
yeah, they're talking about all this SEC bias. I don't see any SEC bias happening this year.
there would be people picketing in Athens. There would be encampments on North Campus of people saying, that Kirby should be ousted. It would be ludicrous. But for some reason, it's Mighty Michigan, who, by the way, are the most winningest football program in college football history. And if they win Saturday, will be the first program to ever reach 1,000 wins.
Well, you know why they win so much? It's because
They
they don't
cheat.
have competition. And because they're cheating. I mean, both reasons. And I'm confused what the committee is even going off anymore. I mean, they said resume, they said strength of schedule, and that was the reason that Georgia was ranked 2. I did not have a problem with that. But now, like, genuinely, if you look at these resumes, like, you cannot convince me that Washington and Florida State should not be ranked ahead of Ohio State and Michigan right now.
Well, and like last night, they were putting Georgia and Ohio State next to each other, quality wins, strength of record, strength of schedule. How is Ohio State's strength of record and strength of schedule harder than ours? What sort of Polish math are they
I
doing?
don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I
show me the
really
equation
don't
that goes
know.
into that, because I don't get it.
I don't get it. They're in the Big Ten. They play several teams that have losing records. And they play Penn State is terrible. Like, they
Terrible.
could not move the ball last weekend.
It was embarrassing to watch. I mean, it was like, these guys are terrible. I mean, their quarterback was terrible.
We would kill them.
We would kill them.
There's so much Ohio State bias. It's insane. All the Big Ten. It's ridiculous.
At this point, since there's not going to be any justice against Michigan, I want them to win out. I want them to beat Ohio State, and I want to play them.
Absolutely.
I want to play Harbaugh under the microscope, where there's no way for him to cheat, like he cheated against us last time and beat him 34-11, and just see what happens. Because I know what's going to happen.
Oh, I know what's going to happen too. And especially if they beat Ohio State, they're going to be talking and they're going to be yapping. And that's perfect scenario for me. And people are still talking about both of them getting in. I don't understand how that's even possible. But there's still a high chance that they both get in, according to the playoff predictor thing.
Well, as I think that is looking at as of today. Is that because it can't be forward looking for everybody at the same time?
That might be today, but like there's legitimate analysts like talking about both being in, and I'm like, have you looked at what's going on? Like, I don't even know if like Georgia and Alabama are gonna be in. Like, the one loss Big Ten East team definitely is not gonna be in.
It's like a giant conspiracy that they've said we're tired of the SEC always winning this thing. There's got to be somebody else. So the only way there's going to be somebody else is to find a way to shut them out.
Yeah. I don't know, but I think the worst case scenario for the committee is if Alabama beats Georgia and then Texas wins out and wins the Big 12. Because you're faced with that head-to-head decision of Alabama's playing better right now and they have a stronger resume, but Texas beat them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we've seen in the rankings, they've kept Texas ahead of Alabama.
I think if they beat us, they'd move them over Texas for sure.
You think?
Yeah. Do you feel like Texas can run the table? Because they've been struggling.
No, definitely not. I mean, past couple games they've only won by one possession. I don't know how they beat Alabama, but Alabama was very much struggling at the beginning of the year. Jalen Milroe is a completely different player right now. So I agree. I think the committee would jump them, but I think there's going to be a lot of angry people if that happens just because of the head-to-head win. And really, like when I think about it, I think it's only right to put Texas in if Alabama's in because they beat them and they beat them in Tuscaloosa. Like it wasn't a fluke. Like they won that football game.
But then, by you saying that, then Georgia's definitely out.
Yeah, Georgia's out. I don't know what they would do in that situation, genuinely. And it's hard to imagine that they're going to keep an undefeated team out. I've heard opinions. I mean, like we said earlier. I mean, I think Florida State should be out, and Georgia and Alabama should be in. But it's just really hard to imagine they're going to do that. And so if you have an undefeated Florida State, an undefeated, let's just say Michigan, and then an undefeated Washington, that's 3 of the 4 spots. Alabama, Georgia, and Texas are left for 1 spot.
All right, let's say Georgia wins out. Let's say Michigan beats Ohio State, so that those 2 are in. Let's say Florida State loses to Louisville. Let's say Texas wins out, they're in. That is what leads the 4th spot for Ohio State.
Well, we didn't mention Washington or Oregon.
Oh, we didn't? I thought I did.
You said Georgia, Michigan, Texas, and then 4th is what you said.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I wonder, because I totally assume Oregon's going to beat Washington. And they do have to play Oregon State, who has been pretty good. So that could be an upset. But I wonder if Oregon beats Washington, if they're going to kind of penalize Oregon. And for some reason, I guess it would probably only be a problem if Alabama beats Georgia. I could really see them, Alabama beats Georgia, I could see them putting Texas in over Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And Oregon has the strongest schedule if you're just looking at beating ranked teams.
Mm-hmm.
But you bring up a good point in the Louisville situation. Do you think Louisville has a shot?
All right, I want to back up to what you just said. If you're basing it on beating ranked teams, because a lot of times just because somebody's ranked doesn't mean they're good. Penn State's the prime example. You know, it almost feels like there's been a pro Pac-12 bias to push all these teams up at the beginning of the year. But are they really good? You know, are all these, if you take these different Pac-12 teams and you plug them into the SEC, are they as good as they are now? No, they're not. All right. Now, I'm sorry. I just had to jump in there and say that. Then what was it?
No, I agree.
Well, I was just kind of jumping in on the point that you made. But what did you say? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I just said, you know, you mentioned that Louisville might beat Florida State, which I would not be surprised. It's hard to win 13 games in a row. But do you think they have a legitimate shot? They have
Louisville?
that loss to Pitt. Mm-hmm.
I don't, because of the loss to Pitt, and there's just too much. They're not even really in the conversation right now, and there's too many other players that are. I don't.
Okay, let's just say that madness happens and everyone loses. I don't know, Pac-12 loses, Georgia loses, whatever. Everyone starts losing. And you've got 1 spot left for either an ACC champion in Louisville, who has 1 loss, or Ohio State, Michigan loser. Who do you think they put in?
Oh, they definitely put Ohio State, Michigan. Definitely. They don't even think about it.
But that's not right though.
Correct. But
I mean, not at all. I mean, you have an ACC champion that beat an undefeated team, has several ranked wins on their resume. I think, in my opinion, that's the only shot Louisville has of getting in. But you're probably right. They probably would still put in.
Louisville's like me. They want everybody to lose. They want absolute chaos. So they're sitting there going, hey, we beat your number 4 team. Mm-hmm. We're the ACC champs. We deserve to be in just as much as these guys, but they're not going to have any ranked really wins other than that to point to, are they?
Notre Dame,
Okay.
Duke. Didn't they beat Duke?
Yeah, they did.
They play Kentucky to the end of the year. I guess they're not ranked. I think there was another one, maybe. I don't remember. But a lot would have to happen. I mean, Texas would have to lose again. Either Georgia or Alabama would have to lose again. There's just a lot.
We need Oregon to beat Washington. We need Texas to lose. FSU to lose. I'm just thinking of things that
we really need Texas to lose. Like, that is hurting Georgia because of the way it's hurting Alabama.
Right. No, I agree. Who is it looking like they're going to play in the Big 12 championship? Please, is it Oklahoma State?
I don't know. I think it is. Yeah.
I think you told me it was Oklahoma State who just lost to UCF 45-3.
Yeah. Yes, they just lost to UCF 45-3, but somehow since they beat Oklahoma, they're in second in the Big 12.
Yeah. Hey, don't look over here at this loss to UCF. Forget about that. That doesn't matter. All that matters is Big 12 losses, and we beat Oklahoma. I mean, that UCF loss is the biggest head scratcher of the year.
Well, and then you think too, it's like, okay, they beat Oklahoma, Oklahoma beat Texas, Texas beat Alabama. So UCF's going to be claiming that they beat Alabama, like they did, like they have in the
old
past.
Transitive win thing. And basically what happened was Mike Gundy did not respect the Gus bus, and he went down there and he got bussed. And I mean, those guys, it's almost like they never saw it coming.
No, I mean, that's the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. And you pointed that out because I somehow missed that. I mean, that's crazy.
Yes. Yeah, they had like 6 yards through the half or something.
All right, back to the Oregon State Beavers. Who did you tell me they were playing this week?
They play Oregon next week in rivalry weekend.
Yeah.
But they play Washington.
Yeah, they play Washington. And isn't it? It's at Corvallis.
Oh, I didn't even realize they played Washington.
Yeah. That's a big game.
Interesting. This is interesting. Okay, so we need Oregon State to win, of course.
The implications of that game are massive. I see those wheels turning.
Yeah, so they have 2 losses in the conference. I was saying if it was gonna make them but they don't. They have 2 losses.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
What if Oregon State beat Washington and Oregon, and then Oregon beat Washington to win the Pac-12? They're both out.
Well, Oregon wouldn't be in if they beat Oregon. They'd be in.
So Oregon State can still get in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So we got Oregon State and we got Oklahoma State. They're both still in this thing.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Well, it's going to be a wild, what is that going to be? 14 days, really, from Saturday. You got 14 days. You got 2 weeks to figure it all out.
Yeah, that would be crazy because I totally have a Pac-12 in my top 4, like locked. Like I haven't really changed my opinion on that. So that would really shake things up.
Pulling for the Beavers. You got to pull for the Beavers. You got to pull for DJ Ugalele.
We all look Ugalele.
I can't. Nobody can say it. Nobody in the South can
say it. But
yeah. Hey, I'm happy for the guy going out there and getting some success. You know, getting a fresh start like Bo Nix did. Really.
Right. Yeah, and Bo Nix now the Heisman leader I've seen after he played really well last weekend. But Carson Beck continuing to play well, and I'm really excited to see what happens with the Heisman finalists.
I think if he keeps playing the way he's played and has a big SEC championship game, he'll be in New York.
Yeah, he definitely should be. He's just getting better and better by the week.
I don't understand the love for Penix because there's been some games where they just didn't look so great, but it's like the media has just decided this is our guy. We're sticking by this guy.
They decided that after they beat Oregon, and it was kind of weird because it's like Oregon lost that game. Like, from the decision making by Dan Lanning. Like, it's not like they just went in there and like smoked Oregon.
Right.
And so Penix has just been the talk ever since. And yes, he's good. His statistics are great. He has a lot of yards. But I'm just kind of like, they haven't played the same competition that Carson Beck is going to be facing.
And I'm going to throw the same darts at Nix that everybody threw at Stetson. I mean, isn't this his 8th year? I mean, it feels like it's his 8th year. It's at least it's got to be his 6th.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's like my age.
You say that like you're so old.
I think he's in the grade below me. Maybe.
He's in the grade below you.
And Stetson's in my grade. So
Stetson's in your grade.
Really old playing.
That's hilarious.
Still in grade school.
You went to school with Stetson. Well, I tell you what, I'm still pinching myself that the run we're on. It's borderline bizarre. It's dream come true type stuff. Mm-hmm. And we just keep dreaming. And it's the streaks and the records that we're on are just stuff that you wouldn't have talked about in your wildest dreams.
No, it's I'm still dreaming about it. I still don't take it for granted. And it's so interesting how like the fandom of Georgia has changed over the years from like, we just want to win the East to now like, we're expected to make the playoffs and be ranked number 1. Yeah. But I'm still soaking it in. Like every week's a tough week. You know, we've got these rivalry games coming up and just really hoping that it isn't Alabama that stops our streak.
Yeah. I mean, I was sitting there after the Ole Miss game with some buddies and I was like, I feel like it's Ocean's 11 and we've robbed the casino and we're back at the Bellagio watching the fountain, we can't believe what we've just accomplished. Not that I've accomplished anything. I'm just a fan, obviously, but it had that feel like, wow, we did it again. We went through an entire season, home season, without a loss. It's been 1,400 and something days since there's been a loss in Sanford Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And that was to a guy who's now on our coaching staff. So, it's like crazy stuff.
It is crazy. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting these next 2 weeks. I would love to see the way that the committee has to, I mean, I don't want Georgia to lose, but I would love to see how the committee ranks the other teams in the other games.
All right, what about this? Georgia loses. Michigan beats Ohio State. They go to number 1. We're at number 4. That means I could be seeing you next back in LA trying to bum a ride after a Rose Bowl game. We could end up in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. That's true.
I'll take a repeat of 2021. I don't want it, but I'll take it.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, Michigan.
I'd love to play Michigan. I don't care what we're ranked if we're playing Michigan.
Oh, God, can you imagine in the Rose Bowl going back out there? Oh, my gosh. New Year's Day. Be fantastic.
It would be.
I'd rather play there than go to the Sugar Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Just as far as just settings.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Who, this is probably getting way ahead of ourselves too, but who are you most worried about? Like, hypothetically, that Georgia would have to face in the playoffs?
Nobody. The toughest team on our schedule is Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, because
it's Alabama.
Yeah, it's Alabama. I mean, and you don't want to play them in the playoffs either.
No.
It's Alabama and the SEC championship, and then you don't want to play them again in a natty. I mean, we've done it before. So we've slayed that dragon that time, but I don't know. I just think the more times you give somebody like Nick Saban, you don't want to give him as many. You want to
Yeah.
minimize his number of chances. That's why you want to knock them out.
Yeah, and really, like, when it comes down to the playoffs, the coaching does make a large part of that.
Yeah.
And we're lucky that Alabama has a loss because that would be awful if we had to play them twice.
Yeah. That's a great point.
I mean, we might still have to play them twice, but it would be us losing the first time. I
Right.
never want the nightmare where we beat Alabama the first time and then they come back.
Exactly. Yeah. Great point. Yeah. That's, let's not even talk about that. But I mean, other than Alabama, who are you scared of?
I'm not scared of really anyone. If I had to pick someone, I'd honestly say Oregon. I don't think they're better than us, but I think they're better than Florida State, Michigan, and Ohio State and Texas.
It'd be fascinating to play them and just see how much they've closed the gap in basically 16 months with Lanning.
Right.
Because he's closed it. There's no way it's going to be 45-3 again.
No, that would be really interesting.
Yeah. I'd love to see, and we talked about this, I think, somewhere we could go and look at theoretical lines. Like, what would the line be? Neutral site, Georgia, Oregon, Georgia, Washington, Ohio State, Michigan, FSU, Texas, whoever.
Yeah, that would be cool to look at.
I'm going to work on that.
Okay.
That's an action item for me. I'll try and have that next time we talk.
Okay.
All right. Well, I've got to run, but as always, it was awesome talking with you. And go Dogs.
You too. We'll go beat those ugly orange people.
The ugliest uniforms in college football. And it's
right.
not even a close second. All right. Go Dogs.
All right. Go Dogs.
And everybody should wish a happy birthday to Buffalo. What's up?
Thank you. How you feeling this evening?
I feel great. It's your birthday. How's it going so far?
Going great. Everything's fine.
All your wishes and dreams come true. All the presents
not
you
all.
wanted. Not all of
Not
them.
all. But I woke up breathing. My wife and daughter, both daughters, wished me happy birthday. So the dog wagged its tail when I left this morning. So that's good.
You woke up on the right side of the dirt. All the ladies in your life love you. Your dog loved you. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm good, man.
How you feel about the Dogs?
I feel like that we have the best offense in the nation. That's what I feel like. And we're going to prove it. I know our other two road games, not as much. We got another chance this week. Limit the turnovers because I know we lost turnover battle in both of those. But I'm feeling with, Brock Superman coming out of the phone booth on them, proving early in the game with the catch and the plan on that foot that he was totally healthy, thereby telling Lane, hey, man, he's healthy. Y'all better account. Opened up all the doors. McConkey's back looks like it's cooperating right now, which we've all been worried about. And then Mims coming back, which I've been crying. I would really want that to happen. And I mean, that Ole Miss had a lot of sack numbers, but they didn't have any the other night.
I don't think they touched Carson Beck.
There was no Tide country for Carson's uniform after the game.
No, they're not even going to need to watch
Tide country.
Well, your boy Mims, I think, is a big reason why Kendall Milton had a special day.
Yeah. Kendall was looking like he had little brief moments of it as a freshman, but he looked at all game, planting his foot in the ground and running straight at people. Gosh, we get this rolling. Well, that's why I think we're the best offense. I think Mims is probably thinking to himself, I know I'm a first rounder, but I've been hurt most of the year. And where am I in the first round? So, man, I think I need to lay down a little tape here late to elevate my position. So I think we're going to see a lot out of him, man. It's only going to pay dividends.
I love that theory, and I think you're exactly right. He does need to lay down some serious tape.
Yeah, I mean, he's got plenty from years past, but he doesn't have a whole lot. What does he have? A couple of junk games, and then got hurt in the South Carolina game. When was that? Second quarter? I don't remember.
Third game of the year. I mean, he came back for the 10th.
Yeah, so he's probably motivated. Well, not only he's motivated for us,
right,
but at the same time, he has his own thing to worry about, and they go hand in hand. And he's gonna show us again this Saturday, I hope.
I have no doubt.
Yeah, and then on the defensive side, I think Lane Kiffin said it best in his text message to Kirby after the game. The three safeties back there, because he's running two freshmen back there, I think, and it showed a little bit. But the three-headed monster with Tyke, Malachi, and the Bull.
I mean, Bullard's a beast.
He is a beast, man.
I mean, he brings the thunder. And how about C.J. Allen?
Oh, that was my next point. C.J. Allen looks like a bank safe with an Indian-made BrahMos missile attached to his back. I mean, this guy, I don't know if it's the 33, but he just looks boxy.
He does.
He doesn't look like he's fast when you look at him on TV, but man, he arrived at a couple times on the edge there. He arrived quick. He's fast as can be. I heard Matt Stinchcomb talking about? Did you know when they pulled their big tackle around? He's like, man, he took that guy out of his cleats.
Yeah, I mean, they were talking about it on Read React last night with Roman Harper. He goes, watch this play. And they pulled the tackle through there, and he just went in there and just knocked him over and, I mean, knocked him back into his running back. It was amazing.
Yeah, and stood over him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's 18 or 19, but he's like, yeah, I'm here. I'm the man.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden it's like nobody's asking about JDJ anymore because after that game.
I know Pop. I mean, we want Pop to get back, but at the same time, man, this guy, let's get a little experience here for the next couple of weeks. And him in the rotation may be what you need against the old Darth Vader down there.
Yeah, well, he had been playing a lot. I mean, he was first guy in, but I mean, this was his first real start.
Yeah, he was able to kind of get in the rhythm, and we see a big block of his play. And when he got beat on the pass, he was right there on the guy's back.
Yeah,
in the game the other night. Gosh, I mean, that guy, and I saw there was some article, I didn't read it, but some of the players are saying he reminds them a little bit of Nakobe already, in his leadership and all that kind of stuff. I think Kirby talked about that.
Really? He's already getting vocal in the
Well, he's getting a little Nakobe, comparison there.
I love it. And a little Roquan-ish with that speed.
Yeah, that side to side. I don't know. Man, I don't think it'd be, but yeah.
Not as big, but still that impactful.
Well, the fact that he took on that tackle, I don't know how big. What is he, 235? That's what they list him. I don't know what he is.
Yeah, I don't either.
But he must have that Heinz Ward spring in his stomach that just releases all the force. Your physics teacher taught you in high school. Just boom.
Yeah.
That's a lethal combination.
It is a lethal combination. It was great to see. I really wasn't worried based on what I had already seen him do throughout the course of the year playing with the ones, but he just really shined. He flashed. Yeah,
he did. I mean, the whole country's talking. I mean, your buddy Herbstreit actually was praising him.
Yeah, everybody. I mean, you got Herbstreit, you got Roman Harper, you got the Stinchcomb brothers. I mean, everybody's talking about C.J. Allen now.
Yeah, he's something else.
He is something else.
Okay, before I go to Tennessee I'll just have a brief thing about Tennessee, man. Let's talk about. I know you've already talked about the Michigan, the crying act by the interim or whatever you want to call him, the 3-game dude. that reminded me of, I haven't even watched the whole thing. I quit about 14 seconds in. I was like, I'm not watching this. It looked like a reality show, a Real Housewives, a Big Brother, or some kind. It was so ridiculous.
It was like he was the designated crier that they were like, all right, now when you get out there, cry. And here's the most contradictory thing. I'm at a loss for words for what this is. First thing he does is he thanks God. Then he proceeds to drop 2 F-bombs and say SHIT. And I'm like, well, God doesn't want to be brought into your mess. Why are you bringing him into this?
Yeah.
On live TV. I mean, how are they letting this guy get away with that? It's Michigan.
Know.
It doesn't matter. You're Michigan. You can drop F-bombs. It's Michigan. They can do whatever they want. They can cheat. They can drop F-bombs. We don't care.
You ever see the movie Harlem Nights?
Yes.
Remember when they killed somebody, and then you had Arsenio Hall was real upset about it. And he was like, and he was crying and shooting his Tommy gun at the same. They were trying to get whoever killed his friend, and he was just blubbering, crying. That's what that guy looked like. I mean, it was anyway. And then the head reprobate decides to come on Monday and say, this should be America's team.
It's unbelievable. It's like, what am I watching here? They're trying to position themselves as being victims. We've been victimized. You guys keep picking on us. You keep bullying us. Why are you picking on us? Nobody's picking on you. You're cheating, and you got caught. So stop trying to spin this into something that it's not. You're cheaters.
You know what? They're actually dragging on my whole college football season 2023 experience. I love it all. I love it all. I love one team, but I love the whole thing. And they have, it's like a pustule on the face of the whole thing. I can't. They need to go away, man. I'm tired of them.
Well, the thing is now, I want them to win because I want to be the ones to make them go away. I want to expose them just like we did 2 years ago when they were cheating, when we beat them 34-11. We'll play them this time without any cheating. They'll finally actually play somebody because they haven't played anybody yet. Penn State doesn't count because they've not played anybody. And give them what they deserve.
Well, yeah, we already gave it to them a couple of years ago. We gave them what they deserve. I knew when they got off the plane with those fly white track suits that it was over. When Michigan, or they got off the bus to go into our Orange Bowl game, I was like, they're done. Gerard and I watched it up here. I was like, look at them right there. They're cooked. They're going to be cooked. If it happens again, they're going to be cooked.
Harbaugh is so out of touch with reality that he has the gall to say that they're America's team.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, what planet is that guy on?
I don't know.
It defies logic.
He's not going to admit to anything. Now his brother's saying they're not going to find anything on him. I don't know. The whole, Tom Crean's their brother-in-law. It's a kook festival. The father's crazy.
Hey, he's saying bizarre stuff like, yeah, I get to go to court and I get to talk. I've always fantasized about, going into court and hammering away at some attorneys like I was on A Few Good Men. I'm like, you're gonna end up being the Jack Nicholson of this little skit here, Jimmy.
It's just,
you can't make this stuff up. I mean, it's like
how they have replaced Ohio State for us.
Yeah, we didn't think it was possible. We didn't think it was possible.
Big time. That Ryan Day now, I'm like, okay, whatever. Now he's gone. I forgot about him for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, enough about those jokers. Okay, Tennessee game. We crushed them 17, 19, 21. I think we've gone over 40 every time. It seems like, I don't know, well, maybe not the last time we played it, but the other times we jumped, especially in 17, jumped them early. I think it was 24-0 at half. That would be nice to do this year, to not give the obligatory opening drive touchdown that I've been talking about forever. Let's not do that. This time it'd be cool if we could not do that and just jump on them. Then if we jumped on them, But I do think they're kind of thinking of this as their Super Bowl. So I'm a little, I don't know. They'll probably bring some pretty good play first. Crowd will be into it. We need to turn the crowd on them a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
So that'd be nice. Last week, man, Cody, he went Led Zeppelin on him, man. He rambled on. If I say a running back rambled on, I don't know if I've said that since Billy Sims ran roughshod over the Kansas Jayhawks back in 1970. He was running and still running.
Yeah. Well, what we have going against us, like we do with a lot of teams we play, maybe every team we play, is they don't want to get embarrassed, and they don't want to get embarrassed at home, and they just got embarrassed on the road. So anything that they can possibly do to rally, they're going to do. And I think that just like Lane Kiffin, they're going to pull out every stop. They're going to run, fake punts on their own 5 when it's 4th and 50. But I just think that, that kind of emotion, whatever it is that Heupel's going to do to get them hyped, it's going to last them about 5 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
Because we're just going to come out there like surgeons and methodically carve them up.
I think so. I don't know. With this offense and the way our defense, settled down and played and has played all year, they might get a little something. But I know you probably heard the stat. Maybe we've talked about it. But the Tennessee scored 1 second-half touchdown in the second half of the last 4 SEC games since October 1st, offensive touchdown. That ain't going to work if they continue that. Now, I know those games, a lot of those, well, no, they had a home game with A&M, I think. But
yeah.
Their offense, that's not the offense we remember from last year that we stymied, but they were still pretty good. I don't think Joe Milton and Hendon Hooker, they're not the same.
I didn't know that stat that you just said about one offensive touchdown
in their SEC games, so not counting their game against UConn, in their SEC games, for 1 second-half touchdown offensively since October the 1st.
Wow.
That was a 12-yard run against the
stark.
They had a 39-yard punt return against somebody, Texas A&M maybe.
And one of their top receivers is out.
Yeah, so I'm not going, but I'm not worried too badly about this game.
It's like the last 3 games. I'm worried that I'm not worried, and good things have happened.
Yeah. So,
do you think we should try and see what Dogger has to think about this?
Yes, let's see what the Dogger has. I want to hear this week's report.
The Dogger is here. The Dogger is here.
I love it.
Big
Welcome.
Big shout out to Bobber for a happy birthday.
Well, thank you, Dogger. It's always good to celebrate yet another year.
That it is.
As
long as the dog's wagging at you when you leave the room, that's always good.
That's right.
I love it.
Go Dogs. That was a good win last week. Obviously, kind of pretty much a rout. I didn't pay too much attention in the second half, but I do eventually, during this conversation, go back to what Cassidy Pearson was saying and talk about theoretical lines. That's something Bobber and we had already predicted the Georgia-Alabama line for the SEC championship. So I think we should include that going forward, Mad Dog.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think what was it? I thought we were 2.5 somewhere.
I think one of us said 2.5, the other one 3.
Yeah,
so we were right there.
So we're kind of on it.
Yeah. Yep. I'll go ahead and say Georgia Tech is 39.
What?
Good God!
Wow.
I'm just because. Yeah.
Are you kidding?
I'm probably exaggerating a little bit because the Withers clan hates Georgia Tech, but it's going to be up there. I would probably more realistically say definitely over 30.
Wow.
That's just that's the Dogger's opinion. I'm not saying that's right.
Well, they've just been so Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, you got the Bowling Green debacle, and then they come back and they beat Miami. Of course, that was a gift, but
That
I mean,
was,
Miami should
yeah.
have never had them that close in that game anyway. And then they've beaten a couple of. Didn't they beat North Carolina?
They
They
did.
did. Yeah. Yep. So I don't know.
So
Yeah, it's maybe it's where is that game? Is it at Tech?
In Atlanta, yeah.
It's yeah. So I could be off, but yeah, I'd have to give some more thought to it. But I like that that theory of predicting what certain lines would be in the future.
well, I'd like to see theoretical lines of, say Georgia versus the top 6 teams as they're ranked now. Like I know neutral field, what would Georgia versus Ohio State or Michigan or Washington or Oregon or Texas be or FSU? Is that something you can look up?
I can't look it up, but I could off the top of my head, and I'm sure Bobber can do this, and you probably can too, Mad Dog. On all those you just named, I think we could give a pretty educated guess.
All right. What would you say Georgia Ohio State would be?
6.
Dogs -6. What about Michigan?
6.
FSU?
11.
Washington?
5.
Oregon?
Because of what happened the last time, like Cassidy said, I think they're playing really well, but I'll go 7.
So that's what I like. 7.
Texas?
9.
Okay.
I mean, those
I
are
like
all
all
just
those. The only one I say is I think Washington would be more.
it'd be what I can't remember what I said, honestly.
5.
Okay. You'd like it a little lower?
I'd go a little more. They've beaten, 3 ranked teams in a row, maybe, but they've been teetering here a little bit. We'll find out. Let's watch this Oregon State game in
Corvallis.
Beavertown.
Yeah.
We'll see. Because they're 2.5-point dogs at Oregon State over there, aren't they?
They are. Yep.
Yeah.
We'll get into that here in a second. But yeah, like Mad Dog has said on the side, Corvallis is a tough place to play. So it will be interesting.
It's always foggy there.
Yeah, it is.
It's foggy and it's kind of wet, drippy kind of feeling. And I've been told by my friends who's been there, and I'm nothing against Oregon State. They claim that they're the worst looking women they've ever seen in the stadium.
Yeah, but in that environment, I mean, wet beaver is slippery. So you gotta watch out for that.
Well, it is a night game, so I don't know what the weather's going to be like. I would assume it's going to be raining.
Maybe foggy.
It'd definitely be foggy. Always foggy.
Apparently slippery.
Very slick. Very slick.
All right, we ready to dive into last week?
Yes.
Okay, so the Dogger is making a slate. I still have a long way to go, but last week I picked first, and I went 4-2. Mad Dog went 3-3. The Bobber went 2-4, and Bert went 2-4. So for the season, the Dogger is 13-19-2. Mad Dog is 15-17-2. The Bobber is 14-18-2. And Bert is 9-8-1.
It's pretty tight.
So I haven't done what the average of those are. I probably should have done that with our stat man off the air tonight. But obviously I'm still bringing up the rear, but I'm trying to make a charge here in the last few weeks.
So what do we
got?
You're
one game back of me.
That's right. Yeah. What's that, Mad Dog?
I said I can't wait to hear the games we have on tap.
All right. So on tap we have Mad Dog goes first. I went first last week. And I'm always try to keep the CFP in consideration top 4, but there weren't many. I think there were only 3 top 25 games this week, if I remember right. But the first one at 12 o'clock, you have Michigan at Maryland. Michigan is -19.
I'm picking Maryland to cover.
Okay. Bobber.
I'm going to take Michigan -19.
All right, and we got our statistician Bert he's en route to Dakota, probably to kill an elk or a moose or something. Who knows what he's out there doing.
Did we lose you?
Hello.
Dawg, are you back?
Hello.
Yeah, we got you. What did you say? The stat freak. What did he pick?
Sorry. I don't know what happened there. The stat freak. I don't know if he was out going to South Dakota for elk hunting or moose hunting. He took Maryland.
I like it. Okay.
And I'm going Michigan.
Okay.
And then the next game is Arizona versus Utah at Arizona, and that is at 2:30. Arizona is -1. So Mad Dog first.
Why is that -1?
That's a good point.
They're saying Utah's giving up. I believe in the Utes and Kyle Willingham. I'm going Utah.
I believe in what's his name, Judd Fish. I believe in Judd Fish. I'm going Wildcats -1, although I would advise anyone who's actually betting on this to just stay away from this one.
Yeah.
Bert has Arizona, and I am going to go the Utes. So Mad Dog and I have the Utes, and Rob and Bert have Arizona.
All right.
And then always we're going to take total in the Georgia games. And Georgia Tennessee at 3:30 is at Tennessee, obviously, and total is 58.5.
Man, that's exactly the same as last week, wasn't it?
Last week was 58.5. Yep.
Yeah. Once in a while I remember stuff. I'm going over because that worked last week.
I am too. I'll go over. I went under last week, and then I told somebody I thought the game would be 47-20 or something, and I'm like, why did I say? Yeah, so I'm going to go over. Pretty stupid.
Bert has the under as well, or Bert's the only one with the under because I am going over.
Okay.
And then at 3:30, we're going to go Clemson, North Carolina. Clemson seems to be playing a little bit better. Game's at Clemson. Clemson is -6.5.
I'm taking Dabo.
Taking Clemson for Mad Dog.
I will take Dabo as well.
I'm going to go off the cuff. I can't remember that guy's name. He had a basketball brother on the UNC team. What's their quarterback's name?
Drake May.
Yeah, that's it. I'm going to go with North Carolina. I think he has a big game. And Bert has Clemson. So 3 Clemsons, 1 North Carolina. At 7 o'clock, we have Kansas State and Kansas. To me, this line is really weird because it's at Kansas. They're both ranked in the top 25, and Kansas State is -8.
Taking Kansas State.
I'm going to take Jayhawks.
All right. And Bert has Kansas State. I am going to go. This is a toss-up for me. I'm going to go Kansas.
Real opportunity for the Mad Dog here to pull away.
Well, Bert has Kansas State too.
Okay. Darn it.
Yeah. Actually, mine hasn't. I haven't finalized that. No, I'll keep it at Kansas. I was going to switch. All right. At 7:30 p.m., we have Oregon State versus Washington. This is one that Cassidy loved to talk about.
Yep.
And I know who David or Mad Dog, excuse me.
Who's this David guy you keep?
I know. My bad. I think everybody knows who you are. I'm the incognito guy.
It's a closely guarded secret.
All right. So Oregon State is -2.5.
Oh, I'm going
Oregon State.
Oregon State -2.5. Beavers all the way.
Yes, me too. We hadn't had the upper echelon of the top 6 teams. Haven't had the big craziness yet. It's getting late. I'm going Oregon State. I believe in Tua's brother.
Yeah,
it's not Tua's brother.
I mean, Ukulele or whatever his name is. Sorry, Clemson.
It's DJ Ukulele.
Yeah, well, guy from Clemson.
Except that's not how you say his last name.
Yeah, I called Bedlam the Oklahoma State weekend, and there was a little bit, but not in the top 7 or 6 or something. So I'm going to go with Bert has Washington, and I'm going to go with the two of you, and I'm going to go Oregon State.
Okay.
And then the final one, we actually added a 7th just to keep, since we're late in the season, to keep all the people that still have a chance for the national, or at least for the CFP. We added Texas and Iowa State. Texas is at Iowa State, 8:00 p.m., and Texas is -7.5.
I'm going with the Cyclones, baby. Texas has been cheating death for too long. They've been flirting with disaster, and the Cyclones are about to wipe them out.
Me too. Where are they, in Ames? I'm going with them.
They are in Ames.
Yeah, I'm going with Iowa State, man. I'll take, what did you say, 7.5?
7.5 is right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with them.
I think you and I went through Ames one time.
Man.
I'm going to go Iowa State as well. So yeah, I'm calling for a big weekend of upsets, knocking some of these people out to kind of smooth the path. All right, so we have everybody. That is it.
Well, since the stat freak's not here, then in his honor, we're going to talk about net yards per play. And right now, at the top, at 3 net yards per play, is Oregon.
Wow.
Followed by Ohio State at 2.57. Very closely followed by our Dogs at 2.56. And in 4th place is Michigan at 2.43. Washington's the next team, and they're below them at 2.1. And just for a little context, Tennessee is at 1.59. Tech is at 0.16. And Alabama is a lowly 1.26, even though their talent composition ranking has them with the most talent in the country by far at over 1,000. Their talent is also ranked 1. Next on that list, as far as talent and talent rank, is us at just under 1,000 on the talent composition and talent rank of 2. I would have thought after what we had done to Ole Miss that our number would have just been jacked. But, it's kind of like pushing up a GPA at this point.
Right.
You're mixing in 10 other games, 9 other games.
Yeah.
But we made some definite ground on Ohio State. To me, Oregon's still kind of gaudy at 3. And it also speaks to the defense played in the Pac-12.
Yeah. Exactly.
The head scratcher for me is Tennessee has a higher number than Alabama.
That is weird.
They're at 1.59.
Well, they had that UConn game. That's an outlier because they had the ball. I think they had the ball in that game less than 10 minutes or somewhere there. Well, not less than 10 minutes, but they had the ball about 25% of the time. And they scored 56 points. I think they just railed it up on old Gino and the Huskies. I don't know who UConn's coach is, so I just said Gino.
Well, but you make a very valid point. Is that game, because it was so far out of whack, is what made their number probably jump Alabama.
I mean, that had to help them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they still had a bunch of other games, and like I said, a slow push, but.
Ole Miss is still leading the turnover margin in the SEC at +8, followed by LSU +5, Auburn at +4, and then a 3-way tie at +3 with Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee. The worst defensive team in terms of yards per play is your Florida Gators.
I'm really surprised yards per play for Georgia didn't jump more than that after last week. But like you said, Mad Dog, it's trying to raise my 2.1 to a 2.5.
Yeah, it was always tough to explain that to your parent. Oh, we got
Flame blew out.
Hey, what's up?
Happy birthday.
There you go.
You gonna light that candle, or you already blown it out?
Yeah, it came out. I think it went out down the stairs. Thank you, Anna. Thank you so much.
Way to go, Anna.
We know what you're wishing for. A three-peat.
Oh, yeah.
3 for the G, baby.
I'm not supposed to tell my wishes.
You didn't blow out a candle, so you didn't wish anything.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Have you seen this year's shirts that in front of them say 3 for the G?
No.
Okay, go online, and the front has the Mad Dog logo, and it says 3
I
for
didn't know
the
you
G.
did it, really.
And then 3 for the G. The back says Bowers ... or Beck for Heisman, because Bowers is the best in the country, but he's not going to have the stats. And meanwhile, Beck slowly moving up the charts.
Creeping up.
I saw he was. I saw Pollock had him ranked number 3.
Yeah.
Currently. So where do you go? Tell the audience and me, Dawg, or where I go to.
If you're local, you can go to Making Monogramming.
Okay.
And if you're not local, we are still working through technical difficulties on allowing it to be done online. But it will be done just in time for Christmas.
All right.
I need one of those.
We also have snazzy pullovers.
Nice. I can get one and I can ship it up to Bobber.
Yeah, it's easy for you. Just whip by Making Monogramming.
All right. That's about 500 yards from the house. So that's all right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, gents, I'm late for dinner, so I think we're going to wrap this up. And I would like to once again wish Buffalo a happy double nickel. I hope all your dreams come true.
Thank you. Sammy,
happy birthday, Bobber. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
All right, Dogger.
See y'all.
Go Dogs.
Now it's Michigan versus everybody and Ohio State versus the world. But the reality is our Georgia Bulldogs ruled this planet and Kirby is the king. And if you are our next opponent, we are your natty and everyone that we play is runner up. We're first and you're last, and all other teams better learn to love it because that's the world that we live in now. And in that world, where our dogs are finally healthy, except for JDJ, get well soon. And when I say healthy, I mean Mims is back. And of course, I mean Superman is back. I mean the mythical creature, the freak of nature, the unicorn, the alien, the Sasquatch that is Brock Bowers is back. And when that was announced pregame, it was like a bomb went off and the whole stadium became electrified. Full body chills. The energy went from a 9 to a 19. It was a way bigger deal than clinching the East by virtue of the Missouri win over Tennessee. And then the Brock Bowers questions just kept coming. Is it a token start? Will he just be a decoy? Will he be on a pitch count? And Brock Bowers answered with, I'm starting and I'm also finishing this game. He finished it with an exclamation point touchdown, which I called, by the way, because everyone was whining about him staying in the game. I said, everybody, please calm down. It's crystal clear while he's still in the game. He's getting his last Sanford Stadium walk-off TD, and the next play, that's exactly what he did. Never doubt me, ever. Now, of course, back to the cheaters, the Michigan cheaters. They have the audacity to try and spin doctor this debacle into them being the victims. We're all just picking on them. We're all just bullying them. And if you want to recap exactly why that is categorically inaccurate, then all you got to do is read Mark Slayball's ESPN article from November 10th at 3:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It gives the perfect recap of every stupid, silly thing that they've done in the year 2023 and beyond. And that's a lot. Harbaugh started this year by being suspended for cheating. And of course, he lied about the fact that he was cheating. Then there was a mysterious computer access crime scandal that resulted in a Michigan coach firing. We still don't even know what that is. Then I think something happened to Bo Schembechler's son where he put out something on social media that wasn't too flattering, so they had to let him go. And now the latest suspension for another cheating scandal. And what happens? Michigan got a token wrist slap, and they're still crying like babies wallowing in dirty diapers. Harbaugh's suspension only means that he misses the actual games. He gets to coach all week. He's with the team all week. And when the actual game comes, he has to go to timeout. It's like if you were in high school and you got put on suspension by your parents and they said, now you can hang out with your friends all week, but for 3 hours on Saturday, you can't. You'll still get your full allowance and you can even FaceTime them, but you can't physically be in their presence. BFD. It's absolutely meaningless. So then the Michigan cheaters made Sharon Moore their interim coach for the Penn State game. And here's where the Michigan cheaters showed how classless they truly are. Post-game interview, it almost felt like the whole thing was fabricated. Sharon Moore, the interim coach, starts by thanking the Lord, and then he starts crying, and then he starts dropping F-bombs and says $HIT. I'm sure the Lord was up in heaven going, why are you dragging me into your dumpster fire? Sharon Moore, you are like school in the summertime. No class. And by the way, there is no crying in football unless you win a natty, so dry those tears, loser. Last thought on the subject for now. Are the Michigan players like, well, we thought we were good at football, but we were really just good at cheating, so we really suck. Next, Bama rematch. Good. We need to beat them in the SEC championship game to serve final notice that we own the SEC and the Dawg dynasty is in full bloom. Kirby needs to be the coach to put the proverbial dagger in the devil's back to signify the passing of the torch, unwilling though it may be. So welcome back, Bama. We missed you last year, said no one ever.
The Mad Dog Show is proudly sponsored by
The Samford Company, Dogbone.net, Bulldog Illustrated, Classic City Collective, The Park Group Marketing and Media, Bib Distributing, Sellers Construction, Ventures Barbecue, Go Clean Co., Jay Lee, Attorney at Law, Pelicano Construction, Jags Pizzeria, Bacon Monogramming, Ortho Georgia, Cherokee Brick, Progressive Communications, Butler Auto Group, ASP, Ward Mini Storage, Walthall Oil Company, Beach Services, Willingham Sash and Door, and Cranford Chiropractic.